Farmer Peters and His Underworld Adventure. Written and narrated by Mark Eyre. Dedicated to Lewis Eyre. Chapter 2. A groundbreaking surprise. Farmer Peters woke abruptly. What he had intended as a mere 40 winks had turned into a deep sleep. The noise that had disturbed him came from outside his window.
"Get off me!"
Came the sound of a very loud and nasally voice.
"You won't like the taste."
This was followed by the sound of a loud cat screech. Farmer Peters raced to the window.
"Larnie, is that you?"
As he looked outside, he could see that Larnie appeared to be attacking a potato plant. With a somewhat distraught gaze, he also noticed that what was once a full field of potato plants was now empty, other than this single vegetable.
"Stop that now, Larnie," he uttered. "You know that this is the Amesmouth Annual Farmers' Competition crop, or what's left of it."
Farmer Peters had had particularly high hopes for these potatoes, which he had been hoping would be of sufficient size to finally grasp him the winning entry he had desired for so long.
"Yes, you heard him,"
said the nasally voice.
"Get off me!"
Farmer Peters looked at the ground, and then the cat, and then the ground, and then the cat once more. His expression was one of pure confusion.
"Who said that?"
he muttered, with no small amount of trepidation in his voice.
"Who do you think said it?"
The mystery voice responded.
"There's only 3 of us here."
With that, Farmer Peters raced outside, still in his pyjamas. He looked all around the perimeter of the farmhouse. There was no one there.
"You won't find me there, you fool,"
cried the voice.
"I'm underground."
"Is this a prank?"
uttered Farmer Peters, half expecting one of his old school friends to suddenly appear from behind a bush and start pointing his finger and hysterically laughing, which incidentally used to happen quite a lot at school. But there was no one to be found. Farmer Peters approached the potato plant and grasped his hand around its stalk.
"Oh, so you're going to have a go now too, are you?"
said the nasally voice, now clearly coming from under the soil. With that, Farmer Peters gave the potato plant a huge tug using all of his strength, and out of the ground popped the largest potato he had ever seen. But that wasn't the only thing that set this particular potato apart from others he had grown before. This one had legs, and arms, and a face. Yes, a proper face, with long eyelashes, a pronounced yet stubbly nose, and an enormous mouth.
"Oh, now you've gone and done it,"
said the potato.
"You've gone and mooned it now, haven't you? I was going to follow all my friends down into the new worlds below, but you and that stupid feline have gone and spoilt all that."
Farmer Peters was speechless. He had never seen anything like this before. He slapped himself around his face to make sure that he was fully awake and not having another one of his cheese-induced dreams. But after many slaps, the potato remained there, in his hand, staring back at him, with a particularly angry expression on its face. The potato sighed.
"Well, I may as well introduce myself. I am called Spud."
With that, Farmer Peters took a deep breath, slapped himself once more, well, you have to be sure, you know, before replying,
"Well, welcome, Spud. I'm pleased to meet you. But isn't that a bit of an obvious name for a potato?"
"Well, yes, there were quite a few called Spud in this particular patch. My full name is Spud 34,527, but I thought that may be a bit of a mouthful for you,"
the vegetable responded. Farmer Peters nodded.
"Yes, I think I would just call you Spud. By the way, my name is Farmer Peters."
"And who is the furball?"
said Spud, looking nervously at the cat.
"I'm Larnie,"
said Larnie. Farmer Peters' eyes nearly popped out of his head, and his mouth was opened widely in shock. Whatever next? Not only was he holding a talking potato, but now his pet cat was also speaking.
"Oh yes, I ate the cheese that fell out of the window with your test tubes. I can talk now,"
said Lani, before giving a very satisfied purr. With that, Farmer Peters fainted. When he came to, it was clear some hours had passed, as the sun was positioned centrally in the sky. He could hear Lani and Spud talking together. It appeared that the early conflicts between the two had long been forgotten, and they were chatting as if they had been friends for years.
"So it's settled then," said Lani. "We enter you into the Amesmouth Fair Farmers Competition tomorrow as the world's largest potato."
I'm not that large,
replied Spud, somewhat put out.
I was actually quite a slim potato, I'll have you know, before that master of yours had his chemicals spill all over me.
"Well, whatever," Lani continued. "You are still much larger than anything that has previously been presented in the competition."
Farmer Peters jumped up excitedly, quite forgetting the fact that he was the topic of conversation between a cat and a potato plant.
"That is brilliant! Truly brilliant! Spud, you can help me win this year's competition. Quick, let's head back into the house, have a nice cup of tea, and make plans." "Tea?" Lani sighed. "I would much prefer another kipper."
Just water for me,
said Spud. The three of them headed back into the farmhouse and spent the afternoon planning and plotting and generally getting to know each other better. Spud, it seems, was one of approximately 70,000 of Farmer Peters' potentially prize-winning potatoes, but the others had disappeared underground, as had the carrots, the turnips, the swedes and the parsnips. Spud himself had been hoping to join them, but had been prevented from doing so when Lani had grasped him.
It's meant to be glorious down there,
said Spud.
All beautiful and dark, and with far less threat of being dug up and eaten.
"Don't worry, Spud," chuckled Farmer Peters. "I don't think I could bring myself to eat you now. And anyway, you are going to help me win at the Amesmouth Town Farmers Awards tomorrow. Looking at the size of you, I think I may even be able to beat Farmer Cooper for once, and perhaps steal a smile from young Flossie."
Farmer Cooper was somewhat of an arch-rival of Farmer Peters, a stick-thin rake of a man with a huge beak-like nose in the centre of his narrow face. Ever since they had both been at school, there had been fierce competition between the two of them, and unfortunately, Farmer Peters had always come out second best. Each year, the mocking had become more and more harsh and cruel. Last year, both Old Man Peters and Farmer Cooper had spent 2 whole hours after the winner had been announced, pointing at Farmer Peters and laughing at his expense.
"No one wants to eat pink carrots, Peters," joked Farmer Cooper. "Whatever were you thinking?"
Farmer Cooper had of course won yet again, with his treble-sized peas in the pod.
"They are Valentine's Day carrots, I'll have you know," Farmer Peters had insisted. "Look, they're heart-shaped."
"If your heart looks like that, it's lucky you're alive," Farmer Cooper snidely retorted. And in truth he had a point. They were the most carrot-shaped heart carrots that you could picture, but as pink as a prawn.
"Don't be so cruel, you two," Flossie interrupted. "There is something quite cute about them."
Now Flossie had always been the subject of Farmer Peters' attention and desire, all blonde hair and curves, with long eyelashes that fluttered while she spoke, and rosy red lips that demanded to be kissed. Secretly, he had always dreamed that one day he could impress her with one of his scientific experiments, and she'd agree to marry him. But at her kind words, Farmer Peters had blushed, like he always did. "Here, Peters, you've gone and turned the colour of one of them carrots of yours," joked Farmer Cooper. But anyway, that was last year, and the bad memories would no doubt be quickly wiped from Farmer Peters' memory when his huge potato led him to certain victory.
"Anyway, I suppose I should think about getting a good night's sleep," said Farmer Peters. "It's going to be a busy day tomorrow, and I'll need all of my energy for all that celebrating that will need to be done, and to lift that huge trophy.
With that, he got up from his seat and headed off to his bedroom, leaving Spud and Lani to talk late into the night, mainly about the merits of water and milk. A few hours had passed before there was a knock on the floorboards. At first, a single knock that they paid little attention to, but soon followed by repeated knocking, so hard that it looked like the floorboards would be lifted from the ground.
"What's that? What is happening?"
murmured Lani. Spud paused, his expression turning from one of jollity to one of grave concern. The banging stopped.
"Oh dear,"
said Spud softly.
"they are coming."